Hey guys, it's John here in Forest, back with your monthly market update. As always, thank you for sticking with us. We really love doing these videos, and we hope it's kind of keeping you informed. This month we're going to talk about the market, as we always do, but we're also going to touch on that condo bailout, which kind of got rolled out over the last couple of weeks, and explain some nuances around that. But yeah, let's go.
Yeah, other than those two items, there's really not much has changed from last month. Activity in general just kind of is fairly flat in all sectors. The sales volume for June was actually up 10% compared to last June. However, last June was kind of like peak craziness with the tariffs and the market in general and the whole Trump thing, and it was just a bad spring summer last year. So while it's up 10%, it's kind of it's not like things are picking up.
A 10% bounce from a historically bad month is nothing
it's
really.
Kind of like just bringing it back to base
levels.
Yeah.
It was still below the 10-year average,
Yes.
but it's a little less below than last June was.
Yeah. So, it kind of is what it is out there. Again, same thing we talked about last month. The biggest issue we are seeing is with condos out there, and we've talked about it before, there are a lot of reasons why condos are being so hard hit in a lot of sectors, and none of those points have changed. Again, people are just having to beat the other listings on pricing. It's very common to see 6 units in a large complex, 6 to 8 units on the market, sometimes more. They're all kind of hovering around the same price point, and then you've got one outlier who has decided to drop their price 30 grand below the last sale, and they're the first ones to sell. Therefore, resetting the kind of pricing average for the building takes a while for the rest of the owners to want to do that. If they do want to do that, maybe they'll take their listing down, maybe they'll bring their pricing down. Some of them have so little equity left in some of these projects that they cannot sell them at that price point.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a lot of stale inventory, a lot of inventory just kind of clogging up the market, which is kind of giving buyers just almost an overwhelming amount of things to look at, which is what I find. Anytime we've kind of done a search for a condo buyer recently, I'm like, how do I narrow this down? Because it's just, there are so many condo listings.
Especially if it's like, say it's like 2 or 3 different cities they're looking in, and they're looking
There's like
for
250 listings.
Hey, I'm looking for like a 2-bedroom condo anywhere in like these 2 or 3 cities,
Under
sizing's kind of
750,
flexible, like as long as it's
whatever.
not older than 20 years old, and you pull up an area and it's like, wow, 340 listings. And you go, okay, well, let's go for just newer stuff. Wow, there's still 180. Okay, let's like make it at least 900 square feet. Wow, there's still 120. Like, it really is just saturation point.
And in a way, I mean, buyers in general right now are in no rush from what I can see and what we're seeing out there in the market.
That's pretty clear right now.
There's no rush, and I do think that just the overwhelming amount of inventory is contributing to that. Like, if you want to log on and look at your collaboration center or whatever you search your realtor or we have set up for you, it's a lot to like go through 100 plus listings, and half of them look the same. It's like you're clicking through really quickly, so it's like it's definitely contributing to a bit of that, I almost want to say, buyer fatigue. It's like there's no rush, but they're also kind of just like,
there's no incentive.
There's no incentive. Yeah. They're overwhelmed by things, unless there's something that's like, wow, that's an amazing price. But generally, those still will sell. Like a condo that is like superbly priced for what it is, location, amenities, style, age, size, like it will sell. But if it's just a general cookie cutter condo, they are taking a while, even if the price is really good.
Yeah, I almost like, it goes back to that whole thing. It's got to be product and price, and I think in order to get onto the market, detached, townhouse, everything, right? I mean, it really is a case of case by case product. For example, like there are arguably some houses out there right now that are just like, say they would have sold at the peak for like a 1.6. They may be selling now for like a 1.5, which is obviously a loss, but we're talking about like 4 years difference here. The reality is there's also homes out there that maybe they were 1.6 at the peak, but now they're more like a 1.25.
Yeah.
So it's like, there really isn't like a broad brush stroke where you can be like, everything's down 15%, everything's down 20%, or some, it's really anything from, I would say, 10 to 30%. We're in that
really
range.
Depending on the product and
placement.
placement.
I mean, the reality is if you bought anything in early 2022, you're losing. But if you bought something in, say, late 2022, you could be losing or winning right now. I mean, as again, like you could be selling at a profit or a loss. The reality is, I think it's just that situation of when you look at all the sales volumes over the listings, what we call like the sales ratio or the absorption rate, they're all around that 10 to 20% mark, right? Detached to condos, everything. So if you have 100 listings, 10 to 20% of them are selling per month. This is weak, right? Really, really weak activity, and it's indicative of a buyer's market. Prices are falling, all that kind of stuff.
It also makes it really hard for for people, realtors included, to accurately price their inventory, and in turn, if they're trying to make another move or a lateral move or upsize, it's also very hard for them to plan for that. So it kind of stalls that progression of that next buyer because they're kind of stuck in limbo for months at a time while they wait to kind of see what they're going to get for their product.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like before in markets it was a bit more fluid, and it was much easier to kind of narrow down a easy to manage range of pricing. You could plan, and we could get the buyers out early, and kind of, some subject to sales are easier to put together. We're out kind of making things happen. But right now it's almost like a wait and see game with a lot of inventory. It's like, we're just like, there's not even any point. You can look, but there's not even any point in like assessing individual properties at this point, because this could be a 3-month process, 4-month, 5-month process.
100%.
Even if you're priced really well.
I think, and obviously we talk to realtors all the time. This is basically all we do. So every realtor says the same thing. It's not just us. It's like, we are pricing discovery, or like pricing properties, is effectively the hardest thing right now.
Yeah.
Even if you have a direct comp from last week that sold that's very similar, the reality is that buyer at that specific point in time chose that house. There could be no other buyers like that for another 3 months.
And there could have been
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say there could also be very nuanced reasons within that home.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it can come down to the littlest things right now, and say to make a home sell. And it's like it has to appeal to that individual buyer at the time. It's not like before where like you had 10 buyers for every house. It doesn't matter really what the product is. It's more of a price point thing. Now it's like people have decent price points, but like there's a huge amount of inventory in it. So like they could be like, well, if I want to do some renovations, I could do this. If I don't, I could do this. It's just there's so much options and inventory and things available to potential buyers right now that it really is like kind of clogging things up.
It's very tough. I mean, I don't think like we're working a lot of hours very hard, and there's very little happening. And it's and this is again talking to other realtors out there. We talk to people all the time. It's like, how's everything going? And they're just like, I'm working really hard, but I'm not really making any money. And it's like, we feel exactly the same. It's wild. I mean, anyway, that's kind of the way it's been for a long time. Is it going to change? Probably not. I mean, the sales figures being higher than June, if that maintains for 2 or 3 more months, like year over year, we're better than last year. That's probably indicative of the market that's kind of maybe bottoming out. But that could just also be a blip. Last June was in like a really, really weak month. Like I remember it being like on record, it was like, wow, it's a weak month. It was the first time things got really, really weak that summer. So I don't think that's really anything to be excited about personally. The sales figures are still way below the 10-year average. Inventory does seem to be kind of rolling over a little bit. We're not seeing as much come to market, and I think that's seller fatigue as well. A lot of sellers are going, what's the point? Or just taking the home off and going, forget it. Like, I'm into this for the next 5 years. Like, it is what it is. I'm just gonna have to ride this out. So it's happening on both sides. And it's really necessity moves that are really the only moves that are actually taking place. Right?
Exactly. And to touch on the bottoming of the market, even if we see that happen and like, okay, like we've seen a little bit of sales growth over 3 months or a quarter or whatever, like this kind of seems like the bottom of the market. That doesn't mean that we're going to see like prices come up or like the market improve. It's just that's going to be the baseline for a while. I really think we're in this for a number of years before we see any kind of noticeable improvement in pricing or equity built into these properties.
I also, I mean, we haven't touched on it yet this month. We touched on it last month. The immigration thing is huge, because when you've got a shrinking population, it's very difficult to have price growth in any segment of the market. And you've obviously got weak economy, recessionary like headwinds and everything. Those things alone, supply and demand out, forget that, put that aside for a minute. We all know last week, recessions and population contracting is not a climate where you can have prices going up.
Yeah,
by any
it's just
meaningful
not
degree.
gonna happen, yeah.
So it's kind of like, I think we have until the end of 2028, I think, for the immigration like clamp down that Carney brought in, or maybe Trudeau brought it in, but either way, we've got this kind of clamp down, which is kind of like, I think, legislated until the end of 2028. Or is it? No, end of 2028, I think it is, yeah. The foreign buyer ban is end of this year, I think. But either way, like, even if immigration starts up again, it's like a long time for it to actually get here, get established, find jobs, get their permanent residency to avoid foreign buyers taxes, all this other stuff. I think, again, like, we're into this till 2030, really. I'm not saying the prices will keep going down until then, but I just don't think we're going to see prices recover for a number of years.
Yeah, there is a certain point where prices will only come down so far that the local buyer population will start to absorb them. Like, there's a point where people with money will be like, well, if I can get that house for $7 million, like, I'm taking it. I'll take 5 of them, right? So it's like, there is a point where then that's kind of what we're hinting at by the bottom, that, like, if we see that's the sales kind of stabilize and pricing kind of stabilize in one range for most of the certain types of properties, we should theoretically be at the bottom of it. But there's always someone that needs to sell. You never know, right? Like it doesn't take much to kind of reset a value for a building or a townhouse complex. That's
exactly what we're seeing, and it's like, you know, I find a lot of time with negotiations with other realtors now, we're kind of fighting over comps. So we're sort of getting lowball offers, and then we're kind of responding with, hey, here's our counter, and here's why. And we're using our comps, and they're coming back with other comps, and we're kind of dissecting each property and being like, well, that one had this, that one had this, and we're kind of fighting back and forth. And it's funny because if you look at, like, it's almost like both sides are often right in what they're saying. Yeah. I appreciate your side, but appreciate my side too. And it's just this kind of like butting heads, and it doesn't really seem to go. At the end of the day, buyers are just, the reality is they're just not willing to part with cash unless it's a perfect house for them. Yeah. They love it and it's a great deal. If there's not those two things coming into it and they feel warm and fuzzy about it, they're just not going to do it. They're just going to buy another listing. So we're in that situation right now. But
yeah, I've definitely noticed there's far less emotional attachment to properties these days.
Yeah, because they're probably emotionally attached to a handful at once, right? So if we don't get one, we'll just try the next one. That's what we're in, right? It's not like 2021 or 2022. I guess the other thing we're going to touch on, the condo bailout, as it's been called by the media and everything, is kind of I guess a new thing that's come across. You know, a lot of people asking us about it and everything. But basically, it's the government is coming in and buying up condos in the guise of, this is going to be, you know, helping the developers out, clearing them off their balance sheet,
providing rental inventory.
Yeah, and providing, you know, below market or market rentals or BC housing, whatever it is, right? That's kind of not the reason why. And there's been a lot of studies into this by other realtors and, you know, well-respected people in the space.
Financial analysts and stuff.
Yeah, and effectively it's boiling down to the fact that this is more of a bank bailout than a developer bailout. What it really is, this is, you know, obviously when you think about you're a developer and you go and build a high-rise condo tower, right? And, you know, you borrow hundreds of millions of dollars from RBC to build this project. It's based on you selling out a certain amount of the building to actually get your financing. So you have to sell, I think, 60-70% of the building to actually get financing to build. They would have done that. Developers generally hold back 10-20% of inventory and don't actually sell it up front. They just hold it back and keep it for kind of closing, just in case there's increased construction costs. And then when it gets to closing, they can kind of sell them and then, you know, recoup some of that back.
Historically, they've done that as well because prices are going up, right? So they're holding this inventory back.
Well, think of it, Condo tower, your 5-year lead, 4 or 5 year lead time. Yeah. The reality is there hasn't really been a period in Canadian history until now where 4 or 5 years later, condos are worth less. So here we are, and developers are going away. I've still got my 10-20% which I can't sell even at the price before. Yeah. And I've also got all these buyers looking to complete on this project, but only 80% of them can actually complete. So they're now back in circulation. So I'm sitting on, let's call it 30% of this building unsold, don't like the prices. What am I going to do?
And their staggered 10% deposits are not making up for the shortfall.
They're making up a little bit, but they're not making up for like a 20-25% shortfall. Yeah. So developers basically left holding the bag. And then, you know, Mark Carney, being from the banking industry before politics, you have to think, okay, he knows the banks, he's coming in, he's probably getting calls from RBC, TD, Scotiabank going, what about this project? We're in trouble here.
Yeah.
They cannot discharge this loan that they've got pending on this. We've given them 400 million and we can't get it all back. We're going to be down 100 million at this point, unless they can sell these. So he's coming in, buying them up. The banks will be happy because, let's be honest, in this country, the banks rule everything.
Bailing out the banks.
Banks and energy companies rule everything. So the reality is that is what's happening. It's under the guise of, there'll be a positive to it. There will be more social housing. There will be more market rentals, of course. But that's not the primary reason. That's the reason why. It's the banking situation. So is it going to change anything? I don't think so.
No.
They're buying a couple of thousand units. I think there's 3 times that already out there right now, with more coming in construction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a small piece of the pie. It will help, but effectively it's taxpayer money. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know if it's going to help the average Joe, but that is what's happening, and that's why. It's kind of an alarm bell for how severe the development space is right now.
Yeah, and also my worry is with all these other projects that are starting to build out and starting to go, they've already invested enough money where they kind of have to move forward with it. It's like, are they going to be expecting a bailout in 3-4 years? Like, what's going to happen with that? You're setting a precedent for that as well. And also, I do think, having a construction background that I do, I think we're going to see this be evident in the quality of future construction. I think the cities in general already make it very hard for them to build a quality product at a price that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And we're just going to see that in the end product, I think. Well, you probably won't see it, but it's going to be hidden.
Yeah, I mean, I think gone are the days of luxury condos, really.
Well, even just like a good quality build. When's it like? It's pretty rare we go into like a relatively new building in the last 4 or 5 years and are impressed. It's like, it happens, but
if it's average, we're impressed.
Yeah.
If we're seeing average, $2 a square foot laminate and baseboards that are installed properly, we're going, that's great.
Yeah, and it's all the stuff that behind the scenes, like all the issues, like all these towers and complexes that are putting in fancy HVAC systems and individual AC components for each unit. Like, a lot of the minutes that I've read for towers in the last few years are all having lots of issues with all of this stuff. So I think it's just gonna keep compiling, and
it's kind of like owning like an old used German car. Like, they're over-engineered and they are very expensive. Like, if you own a 20-year-old BMW, you're just in the shop for
and
like
they're
3
just
months
slapping them together.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely a continuation of the same thing.
It's a bit of a long one, right?
Yeah, sorry, we always try and make it short.
Not today.
It's more of the same. I mean, it's weak. The numbers are rebounding is a little bit of a positive, but it's against huge headwinds, which completely blow that out of the water. So it'd be nice to see. I mean, it would be nice to see buyer activity just maintain a little bit more and come back a little bit more throughout the year. But with the backlog of sellers that are just sitting there waiting to sell again on the market or off the market, like we said, there's gonna be no price growth for a long time.
And again, that's back to there's not enough buyers to buy the houses of the people that want to buy. So it's like, until they start buying some of the houses, that's like, there's a huge bulk of buyers sitting there. They're just waiting for their house to sell so they can go buy. But until we get more people coming to the table, or until those people realize that, hey, like, I have to bring it down like significantly to actually make someone want to buy this. It's not going to happen. So our advice, if you have a pending deal or someone that's really interested in your home, you're listed with us, you're listed with someone else or whatever, if it's close, I think just, and you can make things work, go for it. Because I really do not see anything getting better. It might not get significantly worse, but it's not like anything's getting better in the near future.
There's no data pointing towards that whatsoever. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, we're going to the summer. Like, historically, July and August can be quite slow months, especially August. So we'll see how that goes. But I the reality is, I mean, I think it's just more of the same. And I think this year will be the same pretty much right to the end. I don't think it's going to be any changes, but
anyways, thanks for watching. We appreciate it, and we'll be back at the beginning of next month and give you an update. Maybe there'll be some more information on the condo bailout, bailout.
Yeah, we'll see.
Give you guys an update. But in the meantime, hope you're enjoying the weather this week, and you have a great summer with your family.
We'll talk to you next month, guys. Thank you.
Bye.